Quick book recap. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into a book that really flips the script on how we think about money. It's called Your Money or Your Life. And it's not just about budgeting tips or, investing strategies, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, it has practical stuff, but the core idea is much bigger. It's about stopping this endless race to get ahead.
Yeah, that feeling that the game is kind of fixed and you're just running harder and harder.
Exactly. This book tries to help you organize your life so it's actually your life, lived for you, maybe your community, even the planet.
Okay, so where does it start? What's the big idea?
The biggest idea right at the heart of it is that money isn't just paper or numbers. Money is fundamentally life energy.
Life energy. Okay, unpack that for me.
Think about it. Every single dollar you earn, you traded some amount of your time, your actual life, to get it. Your irreplaceable time.
Okay. So it connects money directly back to my limited time on Earth.
Precisely. It makes you see money woven into, the fabric of your existence. The book breaks it down into 4 layers, actually, to help you see it differently.
4 layers. Wow. Okay, what are they? Is it complicated?
Not really. They build on each other. The first layer is the obvious one, the material layer.
Right, like cash,
Yep.
coins,
Yep.
my bank account balance.
Yep. The physical stuff, the paper and metal. And the daily actions, earning, spending, banking, investing. It's what most people think of immediately when you say money.
Got it. The tangible part. So what's layer 2?
Layer 2 dives into the psychological layer. This is your inner world around money.
My feelings about it.
Totally. Your fears, maybe your dreams, your personality, like are you naturally a spender? Or maybe more of a saver, a tightwad even.
Okay.
And it also looks at how your family, your past experiences, how all that shaped your feelings and beliefs about money, the baggage we all carry.
That makes sense. Like if you grew up with not much money, you might always worry about it, even if you have enough now.
Exactly that kind of thing. It's the invisible stuff that influences every choice you make with money.
Okay, material, psychological. What's the third layer?
The third is cultural. This zooms out to the big picture, the beliefs that are just baked into our society.
Like what kind of beliefs?
Well, things like more is always better, or economic growth is always good, the idea of winners and losers in the money game.
Stuff we just kind of accept without thinking.
Right. These ideas are embedded everywhere. Laws, ads, what we talk about. They're like the backdrop to our whole financial life, guiding us without us even noticing sometimes. They shape what we think success looks like.
Wow, okay. So society's rules. And the fourth layer, the core one you mentioned, life energy.
That's the one, life energy. This is the deepest, the most crucial layer, according to the book. It's the constant reminder. Every dollar represents a piece of your time, your life force.
The hours you worked.
The hours, the minutes, the mental energy. It forces you to ask, is this thing I want to buy really worth the chunk of my life I traded for the money to get it? It totally reframes the cost.
Okay. Yeah, that really changes how you look at your job, doesn't it? It's not just about the paycheck anymore.
Absolutely. The book introduces a concept called your real hourly wage, and this is super important.
Real hourly wage. So, not what's on my pay stub.
Nope. You start with your pay, sure, but then you subtract all the hidden costs related to your job, and you add up all the time you spend because of the job, not just your official work hours.
Okay, hidden costs and extra time. Like what? Give me some examples. This feels like where the surprises are.
Oh, there are definitely surprises. First, think about commuting.
Ugh, yeah. Gas, wear and tear on the car.
Right. Gas, oil changes, insurance proportion, public transport fares, parking fees, tolls. Even if you walk or bike, that's still your life energy, your time being spent just getting to and from work. An hour stuck in traffic is an hour not living the rest of your life.
I never thought of my walk as a cost, but yeah. It's time dedicated solely to the job. Okay, what else?
Then there's costuming, clothes you only buy for work.
My work wardrobe. Totally different from my weekend clothes.
Exactly. Maybe special makeup, a certain kind of briefcase, even the time spent shaving or doing your hair specifically for that professional image, things you just wouldn't do otherwise.
Guilty as charged. Okay, commuting, costuming.
How about meals? The coffee you grab on the way in, lunch bought out every day.
Oh, yeah. Or ordering takeout after a long day because I'm too tired to cook.
That counts too. Convenience food costs more. Also, any work-related entertaining, or even, buying yourself a treat because work was stressful, those little rewards.
That definitely happens.
Yeah.
So what about after the workday ends? I know I need time to just switch off.
That's a big one the book calls daily decompression. It's that time you need after work just to unwind before you can actually be present with your family or, be yourself.
The time I spend scrolling on my phone before I can actually talk to anyone.
Pretty much. Or maybe it's the time until the kids are allowed to yell again, as the book puts it. Sometimes this even leads to spending money to relax. A drink, a movie rental, whatever helps you cope with the job stress. It's the recovery time cost.
That's so real. Okay, any other hidden costs? Maybe less obvious ones.
Yeah, the book mentions intangibles, things like the mental energy spent plotting your next career move, or the stress on your family life because your job demands so much.
Or maybe feeling like you have to live in a certain area or drive a certain car to fit in at work.
Exactly. Maintaining a certain lifestyle to match the job. These costs, they sort of radiate throughout your life, affecting everything.
So how do you actually calculate this real hourly wage then? Put it all together.
You take your weekly or monthly pay, add up all these extra hours commuting, decompression, extra prep time, then add up all these extra costs, work clothes, extra food, car expenses beyond normal use, etc. Subtract the costs from your pay and divide by the total hours you dedicated.
So it's pay job costs, work hours plus job-related hours.
That's the essence of it. And the result can be shocking. The book gives an example. Say you take a $1,500 vacation, mainly because you need to escape your job. Spread over 50 work, that's like an extra $30 per week in hidden job costs.
Wow. So that escape isn't really free. It's baked into the job's cost.
Right. And the impact of seeing this. One person in the book found their net earnings per hour, the money they actually had left, after all this literally doubled once they accounted for all the job-related expenses they could cut.
Double their useful income without a raise, just by cutting costs.
Just by cutting the costs directly linked to the job they didn't enjoy.
Can you share that Mark H. example again? How did he do it?
Sure. Mark H. made practical changes. He started packing his lunch instead of buying it. Switched from driving to public transport and used that commute time to relax, which actually reduced his decompression needs.
Smart. Killing two birds with one stone.
Exactly. He questioned how many fancy work clothes he really needed, and he started walking with his wife for exercise, good for health, saved money, and good for their relationship. Little changes added up hugely.
So thinking about this, if I see a $20 thing I want to buy, and my real hourly wage calculation shows it costs me, say, 2 hours of my life energy.
Then you ask, is this thing really worth 2 hours of my commute, my stress, my time away from things I love?
It's a completely different way to evaluate every single purchase. Not just, can I afford it, but is it worth my life?
That's the fundamental shift. Now, let's connect this to happiness. The book talks about a fulfillment curve.
Okay, the fulfillment curve. What does that show?
Well, think about when you're a baby. Getting something simple, like food when you're hungry or a warm blanket, brings immense satisfaction. It meets a basic need, feels amazing.
Pure joy from simple things.
Right. Our brains learn early, get stuff, feel fulfilled. As we get older, we get bigger things, a bike, first car, an apartment, still exciting.
Yeah, those are big milestones.
But the book points out, each new thrill tends to cost more money. And the happy feeling, the excitement, it fades faster each time. We adapt.
I know that feeling. That new gadget is amazing for a week, then it's just normal.
Exactly. The problem is we keep chasing that initial feeling. We keep believing more money, more stuff, more fulfillment, even when the curve starts to flatten out or even dip downwards.
Dip downwards. How can getting more lead to less fulfillment?
Because more stuff often brings more complexity, more worry. That bigger house needs more cleaning, more repairs, higher taxes, higher insurance. Maybe you need a better job to afford it, which means more stress, less family time. The burdens start outweighing the benefits. You pass the peak of the curve.
So you end up stressed and less happy, even though you have more things. The book had some data on this, right, about actual happiness levels.
It did. From early seminars, they asked people to rate their happiness, 1 to 5. 1 was miserable, 5 was joyous, 3 was just can't complain.
And what do they find when they linked that to income?
Across over 1,000 people, U.S. and Canada, the average score was consistently between 2.6 and 2.8. Barely above miserable, not even hitting, can't complain.
Wow. And did making more money change that average?
Surprisingly, no. Whether someone made under $1,500 a month or over $6,000 a month, the average happiness score stayed in that same low range.
That's kind of depressing, honestly. More money didn't seem to make them happier. What happened when they asked people how much money would make them happy?
The magic number question. The answer was always more than I have now. usually 50 to 100% more.
So no matter how much they had, they always felt they needed significantly more to be happy.
Pretty much. It suggests most people are sort of habitually dissatisfied, regardless of their income. Financial success doesn't automatically equal fulfillment.
It's fascinating. We're living in this incredibly wealthy society, historically speaking, yet we're stuck wanting more, feeling unfulfilled. Why? What drives this?
The book argues it's tied to what it calls the creation of consumers. Think about it. We used to be called citizens. Now, overwhelmingly, we're called consumers.
Citizen versus consumer. What's the difference in meaning there?
Well, a citizen implies rights, responsibilities, participation in a community. A consumer, if you look up the definition, is someone who uses up, wastes, destroys, squanders. It's a very different framing of our role.
That's not a flattering definition.
Right.
Was it always like this? Were we always consumers?
Not according to the book. It argues modern consumerism was largely invented in the 20th century. After the Industrial Revolution, factories got so good at making stuff that for a while people actually felt like they had enough. Needs were being met.
People felt they had enough. That sounds almost unbelievable today.
Right. Economic activity actually started slowing down. Workers even began asking for shorter work weeks. They wanted more leisure time.
More free time, not necessarily more stuff.
Exactly. But this worried industrialists who would buy all their factory output. And it worried moralists who thought too much free time was bad.
Idle hands are the devil's workshop, that whole idea.
Sort of. So there was a push, a gospel of full consumption, to encourage people to buy more, to equate happiness with buying things. Leisure stopped being free time and became something you buy: vacations, entertainment, hobbies that cost money. Growth became the goal, and full employment meant more consumers with money to spend.
And this constant drive to consume, it has wider consequences, right?
Yeah.
Beyond just our own potential unhappiness.
Huge consequences. This lifestyle has a devastating effect on our planet. Almost everything we buy, the book argues, involves unseen destruction somewhere else.
Like pollution, resource depletion, waste.
All of it. And knowing this conflict between our habits and the environmental news we hear actually adds another layer of stress for many people.
Okay, so if more isn't better for us or the planet, what's the alternative? How do we get off this treadmill?
The book offers two key concepts: understanding clutter and finding your personal point of enough.
Clutter. Like piles of junk in my house.
It can be physical stuff, yes, but it's broader. Clutter is anything that is excess for you, anything you own or deal with that doesn't truly serve a purpose or bring you joy, yet it takes up space, physical, mental, or emotional space.
So that app I never use but haven't deleted. Or worrying about possessions I don't even really need.
That could absolutely be clutter. And letting go of clutter isn't about deprivation, the book stresses. It's not about living in stark emptiness. It's about lightening up and opening up space for something new to happen. It's about freedom.
Making room, mentally and physically.
Okay.
And what about enough? That sounds like the opposite of more is better.
Exactly. Enough isn't poverty either. It's described as a wide and stable plateau, a place where you feel alert, creative, satisfied, and free.
Not too much, not too little.
Right. That Goldilocks feeling of just rightness. Having enough of what you genuinely want and need with nothing in excess to weigh you down.
And this enough point is different for everyone.
Absolutely. It's deeply personal. One person's enough might look like a lot to someone else or very little. The key is defining it for yourself because, as the book says, being suffocated under a mountain of clutter that must be stored, cleaned, moved, gotten rid of, and paid for on time is a fate worse than dearth. Owning too much can be more burdensome than not having enough.
Okay, this makes conceptual sense. We need to identify our clutter, find our enough, track our life energy. How do we actually do this? The 9-step program you mentioned sounds practical.
It is very practical. It's a roadmap, and it all hinges on awareness. The main tools are the monthly tabulation and the wall chart.
Monthly tabulation and wall chart. Okay, step by step. How does it start?
Step 1 is simple. Know how much money has actually come into your life. Track all of it.
Not just my main paycheck.
Everything. Wages, salary, tips, interest, dividends, side gigs like dog walking or selling stuff online, investment income, everything. And use your real hourly wage calculation to analyze if each income source is truly worth the life energy it costs you.
Got it. Total income awareness. And step 2 is calculating that real hourly wage we talked about earlier.
Correct. Nailing down that real hourly wage is fundamental. It's the lens through which you evaluate both income and expenses.
Okay, then step 3, the monthly tabulation. This sounds like the nitty-gritty tracking part.
It is. This is where you track every single penny you spend, and you put it into categories that make sense to you.
Every penny. Seriously.
That's the goal for awareness. The purpose isn't judgment or following rigid budget rules like housing must be X%. The book actually warns that those standard rules can trap you in the 9 to 5 till 65 mindset. This is about your spending reality.
So, no feeling bad if I spent too much on coffee, just noticing.
Exactly. No shame, no blame. Just observe where your life energy is going. The example of Rosemary the First is great here. Her categories were things like beauty, aesthetics, personal growth, not typical budget stuff at all. It reflected her values.
I like that, making the categories meaningful to me. What about someone with a less typical financial life, like that Justin example?
Right. Justin traded work for rent, so his housing cost was time, not dollars on the tabulation. He was saving for a camper, planning to blog, maybe forage. His budget looked totally different, reflecting his unique life energy flows. It has to be personalized.
Okay, and it's okay if you don't track perfectly at first, if some cash just disappears.
Totally, okay. The book expects unaccounted for cash initially. Just seeing that category can motivate you to pay closer attention over time. It's about progress, not perfection.
What kind of impact can just this tracking have? You mentioned that story about the divorced woman.
Yes, that story is incredibly powerful. She felt she'd contributed nothing financially to her marriage, felt ashamed of her settlement, but when she did step 3, digging into her past income for the first time,
She found she'd actually earned a lot.
over $50,000 from odd jobs and part-time work over the years, seeing that number, acknowledging her own financial history, it completely changed her self-image.
Wow. Just tracking gave her confidence.
It gave her the confidence to see herself as a capable earner. She then went out and got a job at twice the salary she thought she deserved before. Just from the awareness that came from tracking, it's about self-worth as much as numbers.
That's amazing. Okay, so tracking reveals the reality. Then comes step 4, assessing fulfillment, values, and future spending. This sounds like where you analyze the data.
Exactly. Now you engage with the numbers from step 3. For every spending category on your monthly tabulation, you ask 3 key questions.
3 questions for each category. What's the first one?
First, did I receive fulfillment, satisfaction, and value in proportion to life energy spent? You mark it with a plus, a minus, or a 0. Was it worth the life energy?
Simple gut check. Plus if yes, minus if no, 0 if neutral.
Right. Second question, is this expenditure of life energy in alignment with my values and life purpose? Again, plus, minus, or 0.
This is the integrity check you mentioned. Does my spending match what I say I care about?
Precisely. It's where the rubber meets the road on living your values. The book quotes the Bible, I want to do good, but I don't. This data shows you plainly if your material life aligns with your ideals. When it does, you feel integrated, whole.
That sounds incredibly insightful. What was that example with Hal N., the financial planner?
Hal realized his expensive $2,900 month office wasn't aligned. He barely used it. Asking these questions made him see it was a mega gazingus pin, a big unnecessary expense. He moved his office home, cut costs to $750. Huge alignment shift.
Wow, just from asking those questions. What's the third question?
The third one pushes you to think about the future. How might this expenditure change if I didn't have to work for money? Mark with +1 or a 0 and maybe estimate the dollar change?
Ah, the financial independence question. If I didn't have to work.
Would you still buy these clothes? Need this car? Spend money on these stress-relieving activities. It helps separate spending that's truly fulfilling from spending that's just related to the job itself.
That really clarifies what's essential versus what's just part of the current grind.
Exactly. And the book notes, yeah, some months will have big, unusual expenses, taxes, insurance, repairs. But you learn to anticipate these, plan for them, pay cash, instead of letting them throw you off or force you into debt. You see them as part of the flow.
Okay, these steps provide a really solid framework for understanding and aligning your spending. What about other practical tips the book offers for spending smarter?
Loads of them, and they focus on empowerment, not feeling deprived. A huge one is stop trying to impress other people.
Easier said than done.
Oh, for sure. But the book calls it an endless and fruitless waste. Often people are too busy trying to impress you to even notice. It's that old idea of conspicuous consumption.
Buying stuff just to show off. Okay, what else?
Simple but crucial. Live within your means. Avoid debt you can't pay off quickly. Save for emergencies. The book hits hard on credit card interest, asking if 2-week vacation now is worth working maybe 4 extra months later to pay it off.
Ouch. That puts credit card debt in perspective. Use them for convenience, pay the balance in full, or stick to cash debit.
That's the advice. Also, take care of what you have, wear it out, and try DIY. Reuse, repair, repurpose before tossing. The internet makes DIY easier than ever.
But with a caveat, right? Don't let something broken wear you out.
Exactly. If fixing that leaky faucet takes hours every week or those old shoes hurt your feet, it might be cheaper in life energy and actual money to replace it wisely, maybe find a deal, than pay for repairs or doctor visits later.
Makes sense. Be resourceful, but value your time and well-being too.
And anticipate your needs. Plan big purchases, research deals, watch for sales. Being ready to pounce on a deal saves money. Don't wait until the old fridge dies completely.
Proactive, not reactive spending. Good one.
Also, research value, quality, durability, multiple use, and price. Don't just grab the cheapest. A durable $40 tool might outlast two $30 ones. One good pot might replace several gadgets. Buy quality for things you use often, maybe go cheaper for occasional items. Be a smart shopper.
Thinking long-term value, not just immediate price. And the last one, thinking differently.
Meet your needs differently. Get creative. Remember Rosemary Verhurst? She sold her car, used car sharing for errands, rented for trips, cost way less than owning. Sometimes she'd split gas with a friend for camping, shared cost, shared fun.
Brilliant. Thinking outside the I must own this box. What about vacations again?
The book suggests as your life gets more fulfilling, the need to vacate might lessen. Consider staycations. Enjoy your own home you work so hard for. Or try camping cheap, connects you with nature. It's about finding joy that aligns with your values, not just expensive escapes.
All these changes seem to lead towards more freedom. Which brings up that job charming idea again. What was that about the purpose of work?
Right, job charming. The book argues our jobs have sort of taken over roles once filled by religion or community. We look to our jobs for identity, meaning, purpose. Who am I? Why am I here?
We expect our job to answer life's big questions.
And provide excitement, love, status, adventure. Like we're waiting for this Prince Charming job to fulfill everything. The book even jokes the wedding vows, for better or worse, till death do us part, might fit our jobs better than our spouses sometimes.
Oof. That's provocative.
This illusion, this hope for the perfect job keeps us stuck in the grind, kissing toads, hoping for a prince. The book says our jobs are often the toads.
And the big regret is often spending too much life energy on the job.
Exactly. Why did I spend so much time at work? The book's radical idea. The only inherent purpose of paid employment is getting paid, meaning fulfillment. That should ideally come from your whole life, not just the job.
Just getting paid. That feels almost wrong culturally. We're told to find passion in work.
It's a huge shift. The book uses that ape analogy. Apes enjoyed painting until they got paid peanuts for it. Then their art went downhill. The external reward killed the internal joy. So if the job's main point is the pay,
then you should maximize that pay for the life energy you're spending.
Right.
Which leads to step 7.
Exactly. Step 7. Valuing your life energy, maximizing income. Get the highest pay possible for your time, consistent with your health and integrity. It's not about being ruthless.
So value yourself, respect your contribution.
Yes. Shift your attitude. Don't blame the boss or the economy.
Yeah.
Cultivate self-respect, pride, dedication, integrity. You're working for yourself, valuing your own life energy. That mindset shift can open doors.
Like Tanya N., the graphic designer. She got out of debt first.
Right. She called her job bombs by day, peace by night. Felt stuck with $26K dead debt. The program was a merciless mirror. She put On My Way to Debt Free on her chart, paid it all off in 2 years without a raise, just through awareness and changed spending.
And then she found work aligned with her values, opening that clinic. Incredible.
And Nina N., starting at minimum wage, used her wall chart, calculated her real hourly wage for every temp job, doubled her income, then landed a good hospital job. The chart kept her focused on her worth and potential.
These stories are powerful. Okay, so you maximize income with integrity, minimize expenses aligned with values, and that creates a gap, the capital. This is where FI really starts to build.
That's it, exactly. That gap between income and expenses is your capital, and the goal is to grow that capital until you reach the crossover point.
The crossover point. Define that again.
It's the magic moment when the income from your investments, your passive income, is enough to cover your monthly expenses.
Passive income. Money you make without working for it.
Right. Money your money makes. At the crossover point, you no longer have to work for money. You are financially independent.
How does that look mathematically? Even small scale.
Simple example. $100 saved capital, invested at 4% interest, that's maybe 33 cents a month, seems tiny. But $1,000 makes $3.33 a month. $10,000 makes $33.33. It's money coming in passively every month.
And you track this passive income on the wall chart too, climbing towards your expense line.
Exactly. You literally watch your investment income line climbing up, aiming to cross over your total monthly expenses line. It makes the goal visible and tangible.
So this is the heart of FIRE financial independence, retire early, using that capital to buy your freedom.
It's the engine. The book emphasizes concentrating on making money now so that you don't have to make money later, working intentionally, maybe intensely, but ethically for a limited time.
Knowing there's an end date must be incredibly motivating, not just work until 65 or 70.
Hugely freeing. Knowing you're working for your own freedom for a defined period changes everything. You're buying back your time.
But FIRE doesn't always mean stopping work completely, right? There are variations.
Lots of variations. Some people do live entirely off investments. Others do sequential sabbaticals work, save, invest, take years off, maybe work again later.
Like extended breaks built into life.
Or maybe FIRE for 9 months, work seasonally. Some use FI passive income as a baseline to cover basics, then do passion projects or part-time work for extras or purpose.
Or they keep their job. But it's optional now. That gives huge leverage and peace of mind.
Massive freedom. Freedom to negotiate, to try new things, start a business without pressure. Remember the trash collector? He reached his crossover point when his investments paid as much as his job. Then he could quit the job and pursue his dreams.
Amazing. But what about that fear? Reaching the crossover point and being terrified to actually quit the paying job. That wall of angst.
Super common. Letting go of that steady paycheck, even when the numbers work, feels like jumping off a cliff for many. It's a huge psychological leap.
So how do you manage that fear? You mentioned it, cash.
Right, the cash. Pronounced like cash. It's extra savings beyond your main investments and emergency fund, like pioneers burying supplies for later. It's a buffer, a safety net for peace of mind.
An extra cushion, just to feel secure.
Exactly. Rosemary I felt uneasy relying just on bond income, had irrational fears about needing to get a job again. So she built up her cash. Having those extra thousands calmed the inner worrywart, asking, what if everything goes wrong at once? It helped her make the leap confidently.
That makes so much sense. Address the fear practically.
Okay.
Okay, so you've saved the capital, maybe build a cash. How do you invest this money to generate that passive income?
The book keeps it simple. An investment is just putting money somewhere hoping to make more. For FI, the goal isn't getting rich quick. It's ensuring enough reliable income for life. It's about knowledge to avoid fear and bad advice.
Security and reliability over high risk, high reward. What types of income are we talking about?
Mostly interest from bonds, CDs, dividends from stocks, rents from real estate, maybe royalties. And your investment choices depend on your time horizon.
How long you need the money to last.
Right. Traditional advice is riskier for young folks, safer for older folks. But FIers often lean more conservative earlier because they need the money to last potentially 50 or 60 years through all kinds of markets. They prioritize capital preservation and reliable income.
So what are the common, relatively simple investment approaches the book suggests for FI?
A few core ones. Bonds are basic. You loan money to government, corporations. They pay you back later with interest. Treasury bonds are loans to the government, considered very safe.
Steady, reliable income. What else?
Low-cost index funds and ETFs. These are super popular in the FI world. They're bundles of hundreds or thousands of stocks or bonds.
So you own a tiny piece of the whole market. Diversification made easy.
Exactly. They're flexible, very low fee, and historically reliable. And here's the kicker. They often outperform funds where managers actively try to pick winners, mostly because the fees are so much lower.
Simple beats complex, and cheaper beats expensive. I like it. Any specific advice here?
Definitely get any employer match in your retirement plan. It's free money. And use tax-advantaged accounts like 401k or IRAs. It might sound boring, the book says, but that means you're doing it right. Long-term investing isn't supposed to be thrilling.
Steady and boring wins the race.
Oh.
Cap bonds, index funds. What about real estate? Seems more hands-on.
It can be, but also very powerful. The book highlights income-producing property, buying a duplex, triplex, or quad. You live in one unit, rent out the others.
And the rent covers the mortgage, maybe provides extra income.
That's the goal. Often possible with low down payments if you own or occupy. As Scott Trench says, tenants pay you thousands to help maintain your property. It flips the script on housing costs.
Turning your biggest expense into an income source. Genius. Are there other real estate angles?
Yes, investing in your own homeland to reduce expenses. Think solar panels cutting electricity bills, big gardens reducing grocery costs, building self-sufficiency. These are investments with long-term dividends and savings.
Like Kent and Beth, who bought the rundown place.
Right, they've fixed up rentals on their property, paid off their mortgage in 6 years. They see their fertile land, water, and rentals as their natural and enduring wealth. It's about resilience. The author also invested in local solar, supporting clean energy and getting a modest return.
It really shows the diversity of paths. Not just Wall Street. It's about building a life aligned with your values.
That's the ultimate point. Saving money, building capital, that's the byproduct. The real transformation is in becoming more aware, more intentional, becoming, as the book says, a more skillful, loving, sharing, caring, giving, receiving human, and simply need less of your own stuff to get by.
So it leads to a richer life, not just financially. More connection.
Definitely. Community is key. The more we weave our lives beneficially with others, the less money we need. Use the library, share tools with neighbors, use peer-to-peer exchange platforms, build networks of mutual support.
Less reliance on money, more on connection and sharing. What about skills?
Skills is wealth. Even after FI, keep learning, keep building abilities. That's resilience. It gives you options, freedom, choice. You can earn again if needed, or just use skills to help others contribute to your community. Face life with more courage.
So it really comes full circle. It's not just about money, it's about designing a life of purpose.
Absolutely. The book urges you to write down your purpose, even if it's fuzzy, then use it as your measuring stick. That step 4 question. Is this spending aligned with my values and purpose?
Keep checking in month after month.
Asking that faithfully clarifies your values helps you live in alignment. When spending matches purpose, you feel whole, integrated, good about yourself. If not, the awareness helps you adjust, change the spending, or maybe even refine the purpose. It's a living process.
We have covered a ton.
Yeah.
From money as life energy, hidden job costs, rethinking consumerism, the whole 9 steps, finding enough, investing, building community. It's a whole life philosophy, really, not just a financial plan.
It truly is. And always remember, no shame, no blame. We all grew up in this system. The goal isn't harsh denial. It's making deliberate, courageous, conscious changes. Why wait? Start asking the questions now.
Find those non-polluting pleasures, as the book calls them.
Yes, things that fulfill you and are good for the planet. Enjoying nature, connecting with the earth, those are some of the deepest, most sustainable joys.
Well, this deep dive into your money or your life definitely gives you a lot to think about, a framework for making more intentional choices.
So let me leave you with this question. What would your life look like if you truly, deeply knew that your time was your most precious resource and you stopped chasing job charming? What would you do if you were totally free? And how might knowing that change the choices you make? Maybe even starting today.